Good afternoon, everybody. We want to stay true to the 4 o'clock meeting, so thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. I know it was a little bit of short notice in the last week, but we're happy you're here. We are going to do our best to introduce the Springfield trip to you for 8th grade for 2025. I'm Mr. Tanglin, so I teach social studies. I'm one of the coordinators of the trip. We also have Mr. Chambers here with us, our assistant principal, and also Kathy Meyer from World Strides, the company that we are working with and did work with last year. Just to let you know, we are recording the meeting. So if you do not want your camera on, that is perfectly fine. We're recording it for those who cannot make the meeting, and so they can access this resource later on at their convenience. But again, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. We're going to try to be as brief as possible and give you all of the information you need so that your child can have a successful trip and you can register successfully and pay for the trip and hopefully have all of your questions answered. If for some reason you still have follow-up questions and things like that, you can always contact me through email. That's not a problem. I will get back to you. You could send a question to school with your child this week. But after Friday, when school is out, I will check my email and try to answer any questions you can. And if for some reason I can't answer or I cannot get back to you in a timely fashion, you can always contact World Strides. So last year we had a very successful 8th grade trip. It was the first time that we went back to Springfield in about 5 years, and it was the first time that we partnered with World Strides. We found them to be very accommodating, very easy to work with, and because of that, we had a really, really good educational experience in Springfield. And so we would like to offer that to our 8th graders for this year as well. I think that is kind of where we are right now. I would just ask too that if you look at the slides, Mr. Chambers is going through the slides as we're presenting, and really we're going to cover, what's our trip about, what's included in that trip, a little bit more about World Strides, and then the big one, how to register, and then also how to pay for the trip, which are probably the two big questions that most people have. And we also ask too that just let the presentation roll, and then at the end, we will answer any questions that you might have if you want to unmic yourself or if you would like to put a question in the chat. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Chambers. He's going to go through some of the specifics of what we will see in Springfield and what your child will experience on the trip.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tanglin. Yeah, we're excited. Last year was our first year back in terms of hold on a minute. Our first year back after COVID. So we were excited to be able to bring the trip back. And so just before we get into like the kind of sites that your child will see on the trip, what does the trip include, right? So it does include like the transportation from school. So the buses come and pick us up here at school. We leave pretty early in the morning. Depends, 5, maybe 5:30 in the morning. And then we arrive, pretty late at night, 8:30, 9 o'clock, depending on how traffic is. But the price includes the transportation. We do eat dinner there. So we stop at a restaurant and eat dinner. Students bring their lunch, and then we have lunch there together. But then the dinner is included in the price, like all the attractions, the course leader. And of course, the reason we use World Strides is the support that they have. So, they have contacts down in Springfield for us. So if there is something that we need, they're very much in contact with us throughout the trip, and they check in with us periodically. So it's nice having that support from World Strides and their expertise and their network that they have. So, why Springfield, right? I'm sure many of you know, right? But it's our state capital. I think Mr. Tanglin, they just, in the last several weeks, they studied the Constitution, U.S. Constitution, Illinois Constitution. So we're very fortunate that we are within distance of Springfield, just by a couple of hours, to see all the Abraham Lincoln sites, but then also like the state of Illinois sites. So some of the sites that we might see. Oak Ridge Cemetery, which has Lincoln's tomb, which is a really, really cool site. If you've never seen it, you get to kind of walk into it and walk in the back part of it where Lincoln is entombed. A pretty powerful site to experience. And then the Lincoln Presidential Museum, which, some people kind of refer to as like Disney coming to Springfield, in the sense, like really kind of, it's a newer museum. They use a lot of cool technology to help enhance like the experience. The museum really kind of goes through Abraham Lincoln's life, his early years, his years as president and so forth. And then they also have like two experiences shows that are very, very well done. And so it's definitely a highlight of the trip is experiencing this Lincoln Presidential Museum. And then the state capitol, of course. So that is where, our legislatures are, the General Assembly. It's a very cool building. The dome is pretty impressive to see. And so the connections with what they learned in studying the Illinois Constitution kind of comes to life, right? And then Lincoln's home, which is another real highlight of the trip, where the children get to experience going through Abraham Lincoln's home, where he lived for 17 years in Springfield. That's the home that he found out that he was president, or was elected president, right? And then where he was sent off to Washington, D.C. His plans, right, were to come back to Springfield and live in that house. But unfortunately, we know that didn't happen. So another really cool site. So it's kind of a power pack day. We really try to squeeze in as much as we can within that day, and they do see a lot. It's a very busy day. And we really hope that your child is able to be a part of the trip. So just some of the trip details, right? So the trip is October 2nd, 2025. The cost is $215. There's a deposit of $100, which is due June 20th. So that's, coming up in a little bit. There's the tour web code, and then there's a refund program as well. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to turn it over to Kathy Meyer from World Strides, who can walk you through a little bit more about the registration process and how that works on their end.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. Hi, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us for the call today. Again, if there's any questions that you have outside of the meeting, feel free to reach out directly to World Strides or to the school. I know school is getting ready to wrap up for the year, so World Strides is open year round, so please feel free to reach out to us during the summertime as well. As Mr. Chambers mentioned, the trip price is $215. The deposit is $100. So when you go online to register, our website is on the registration flyer that they've received those already, right? Sorry.
Yes, those were sent out. Yeah.
Okay. So those registration letters that you received have our website on it, and you go to, I should know this by heart, but I don't ever go onto it to register anymore. So you go on to brightsparktravel.com. And then it's going to ask you for, if you've never been on the site before, it's going to ask you to create a username and password. Your username is going to be your email address. And then the system will walk you through creating a password, as most things do, like when you're online shopping and stuff. It's going to tell you the criteria, capital letter, small letter, special characters and numbers. So it'll tell you what you need to include in order to set up your password for the account. If you've been on the trip, if you've had a child travel before with us, when you go to log in, you use an email address that you think you may have used previously. If you can't remember the password, there is a forgot your password link. So you can go ahead and click that, And if you are registered in the system with that email address you used, it will email you a forgot my password link, and then you can reset your password and start the registration for your child for this year. If you have any trouble as you're going in to register, customer support has an 877 number on the bottom of the flyer, as well as an email address, customersupport@brightsparktravel.com. And the people on the customer support line are trained in troubleshooting and assisting with registration if there's any challenges. So definitely don't be shy about reaching out if you need any assistance with that. The web code is what it's going to ask you to enter after you've entered your username and password, which again is your email and then the password that you create. And that is what ties you into the school. So even if you've had your child travel with another school with World Strides, you can use the same credentials and it should recognize you as well. We have a feature. Once you've registered your child, the deposit has been paid. We have a feature on the site called the Gift of Education. And the Gift of Education is something that you can access. It's email templates. So you can ask for donations for your child's trip through these email templates. Family members, friends, colleagues, you can send the email templates. And the email templates are kind of nice because they have a link that goes directly to your child's account. But the person who's going in to pay, they can't see what's been paid on your account. They can't see any personal information. It's very secure. So basically what they can do is they can say the dollar amount that they want to apply to the child's trip, and then they can make the payment through credit card or ACH. And then if they try to give too much, then it'll kind of kick them back to like entering an amount. And then they can try a lower amount so that it won't allow an overpayment. The system will stop an overpayment on the trip. So it's kind of nice because you don't have to worry about anybody needing a refund later. But you can have your child get financial assistance towards the trip, and it goes literally directly to it. They don't have to worry about like bringing you money or anything like that. It can go straight through the system. And then insurance. So there is an optional insurance. I'm sorry, it's not insurance. It's called full refund protection. And if you want to be covered, just in case the child has to cancel for any reason, it's an additional $32. It is optional. And how the program works is if you have to cancel for any time up until the day before departure. So you guys are going on October 2nd. So if you cancel by October 1st, there's a $65 non-refundable fee, and then the cost of the program is non-refundable. So any other monies outside of the $32 plus the $65 would be refunded. The reason it's worded any non-refundable fees is because if you call in and you set up an individual payment plan, for example, there are installment charges that go hand in hand with that program, and those fees would be non-refundable. So I know it sounds really generic and kind of ominous, just being said non-refundable fees, but it's really just because it's not going to be the same for everybody. It'll be based on what the program is and what's included on your program. So that's just a little bit of information as far as how those work. And then again, if you have any difficulties when you're registering, please feel free to reach out to us. Sometimes it's as simple as, one tip that I learned recently: accept all cookies. I know you get this every time you go to a new website. It wants to accept cookies, reject cookies. I have been told that if you do not accept all cookies, sometimes the registration doesn't work. So definitely make sure for registering for the trip, when it asks you about your cookies, to accept them. And then if you want to change your settings later, totally fine. But for the registration purposes, I've heard that's helpful to have that done. And that was pretty much everything for me,
All right.
unless anybody has questions specific to the registration or the trip inclusions.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. We'll turn it over now to any families that have any questions.
feel free to put it in the chat if you don't want to come off mic, or I think they can unmute
So
now if
that
they want to too,
$100
right?
deposit, that's due when you register, or is that due
Correct.
on the 20th of June that's coming up?
So
Yeah,
when
so
you go in to register, it is going to ask for the payment. If you register without the payment within 24, you'll get an email and it will tell you to please go back and complete registration by making the deposit. So what happens is the reservation will auto cancel after 24 hours if a payment is not received. If you want to register for the trip but can't afford to put $100 all at once, you can call that 877 number and they can set you up with either an extended payment plan, or they can do like a 50-50 plan where you put $50 down and then you get back in by the 20th and make the final $50, and you can do it that way as well. And that's called an individual payment plan, and they can break that out for you so that it's in smaller installments. And then what that does is you just have to make sure you're paid 70% of the trip cost before departure, so that they even extend the payment plan beyond departure if necessary. So they really do have the intention of everybody being able to go on the trip. They don't want to make affordability a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for the question.
any other questions? Well, the presentation part is done. We'll stay on here a little bit if whoever would like to leave, that's fine. The meeting is over. But if you'd like to stay on for a minute or two, if you have a specific question, we definitely can. We'll stay on here for a little bit.
Yeah, I have a
Thank you,
question.
everybody, for attending.
So yeah, my question is, so the $100 is due on the 20th. I get it that they can set you up on a payment plan. Do you also have to pay the $32 at that time, or when is the $32 due if you want to do the refund? If you wanted to just do that in addition.
So the full refund protection is due at the same time as the deposit. But if you want to add it and it doesn't get added at the time of the deposit, you have 14 days past the deposit date, and you can call customer support and have it added within those 2 weeks after June 20th. So up until like the first week of July. July 3rd, because we are closed on the 4th. So if you weren't real sure and you decided not to, and then you thought better of it and decided to add it, you could call up to 2 weeks after and get it put in.
Okay, and can you also explain that one more time? How does that work? I just want to make sure I have that correct. As far as like, what does that $32 cover?
So the $32 is a full refund program, but it's not technically a full refund. It basically, the closer you get to the trip, the cancellation policy is a sliding scale. So if you were to cancel from the day you registered until, say, I'm just throwing out ballpark numbers because I don't have the cancellation policy in front of me, but it's like 45 days prior to departure, it's a 50% cancellation penalty. And then as you get to like actually I think 45 days is like 100%. So the closer you get to departure, if you have to cancel, the less you're going to get back in a refund.
Understood. Got it.
Yeah. So with this, as long as you cancel the day before the trip, so by October 1st, you're going to the the fees are going to be the $32 cost of the program. And then the $65 is the non-refundable land program cost. So this is a coach trip. So that's the cost in that. And then if you're just paying with a traditional payment plan, that would be all you would lose. You'd get everything else you paid in back.
Okay, got it. Okay, understood. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And I'll say, like, World Strides has been great. Like, last year was the first year we used this method of registering, and so when parents did have questions, like Kathy Meyer said, like they're available and they're very willing to help out and making sure that any problems that you're having that they're taken care of. So,
yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, if you do have any questions, like Mr. Tanglin said, please reach out to any of us, to help, answer those questions. If you have questions like about like just the trip, the experience of the trip, that's something, probably Mr. Tanglin and I can definitely help out. The logistics of registration and everything, World Strides would definitely be able to help you out on that end. So thank you, everybody. Anything else, Mr. Tanglin, or?
No, just thank everybody for attending. And like I said before, Mr. Chambers, any questions this week, direct them to us, and we will either try to answer them or direct you to World Strides. But we're really looking forward to the trip. I think it's going to be a good one in October. So thank you for joining. You are free to go, and we'll end the meeting now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Let us know if you need anything else.